Well, hello, folks. I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. Where we take a look at these markets, we do it from a neoclassical perspective, each time asking ourselves what happened today and what does it tell us about the coming ones. I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube under the channel L.A. Little. So what happened today? Let's take a look at the numbers to start with. If we just kind of glance down here, we actually had some gains over in Europe. I was a little surprised by that. I thought we were going to get a pullback there. But irrespective of that, we still had U.S. markets try to work lower. So if you look here, the NASDAQ, NDX, the Russell, even the S&P 500, only the Dow stayed up. So for the most part, we got the pullback started. The question is will it continue? We had some extreme strength in short covering in all the commodity space, right? Oil, for example, 5% higher. Silver ended up 1.2, but it was up much more than that earlier. Gold itself, I guess I don't have gold listed here, but gold was up a good chunk as well. So we had commodity space benefiting today. A lot of the commodity stocks were up huge percentages the last 2 days. For example, a lot of the oil stocks up almost 8% in 2 days. That kind of action was keeping the market pinned higher, but despite that, this market's going to try to pull back. If we look at the S&P 500, you go over, back under, right? That's a 2-bar reversal. Well, it's probably a little stretch to call it a 2-bar. I don't know if we can call it that because we're not that stretched on the upside. I call it a 2-bar if you get a fast, direct move that's extreme. This is borderline. So you're over, you're back under, slightly less volume. It's going to try to pull back tomorrow as a result of that. If you take a look at the Russell, right? The Russell did the exact same thing. Gets up, over, back under, a little less volume, a little less extreme. Moving over to the NASDAQ and the NDX. Now, these did not get to the highs. So you had a high here of 47.85 yesterday. You got the 83 today. You had more volume today, but you didn't test the high. And so you actually had more volume pulling back instead of testing up. So it's telling you the same story. And if you look at the NDX, you have exactly the same situation. Goes up, doesn't get on to the test, has a little bit more volume, also telling you it wants to pull back. If you pull over and look at some of these sectors, the big move today was in the biotech. Biotech was down $20 on the IBB at one point today. It was down as low as $292. Yesterday closed at 315. So you drop, was it 315? Yeah, 315, 313. 313, 292, you're down $21 at one point. Volume expands, but the volume, when you look at it on a overall basis compared to what it did before, wasn't extreme yet. But then again, you're only starting to move down. You got the high volume low sitting down here. That's starting to serve as a magnet. If you stay down here another bar, I suspect it's going to try to pull it down to that. So extreme pressure here. And then if you look elsewhere, on a lot of these indexes, you actually have, and that IYT isn't one of them, like financials. Financials go up, over, back under. If we look at the technology, up, over, back under. So you have that same sort of situation in these sectors that we just showed on the indexes. The real strength in the sectors was in the stuff that nobody wants, right? Energy, pushing hard. Basic materials. DuPont was up some stupid amount today because they fired the CEO. Almost 15% at one point, and closes up about 7%. That's about as stupid as you can get. I mean, I'm sure they're a little better off because the CEO's gone, but come on, be real. Is it worth 15% because you fire your CEO? Don't you think that's going to cause just maybe a little bit of turmoil? Sometimes the markets do things that don't make a whole lot of sense. I want to go back one more time here to the general markets, and the reason for that is if we look at the S&P again. I want to pull up the weeklies. Not only did we go over back under, if we pull up the weekly chart, you were coming into that area that we talked about last night. That was these bars, right? You came into those bars. You don't have nearly the volume. I shouldn't say that. We're 2 days in. Let's actually count the volume here. I know you don't have more than this one, but the one next to it. You got about 187 on that, and you're doing 85 2 days in. That's actually going to have as much volume. It's not going to have as much as the big bar, though. And so you're pushing, you're actually pushing with decent volume. That's 85. It's about 43. 5 times would be about 200. And you got 260 on that bar. So again, you don't have as much volume. You come up, you test, you don't have as much. You're going to try to pull back. World markets, we talked about Germany and France. They stayed up today. It was kind of a surprise. Really nothing else notable in the world markets, and not much else noticeable in domestic markets either. If we take a quick look at the OX markets, there we actually had a pretty good push against the dollar today. So the dollar pulls back, and let's pull this up. But dollar pulls back, still in this kind of a tight range up here. And, I don't know what to make of this until something happens either up here or up there. If we look at the oil market, we were talking about a big bounce there. So here's that big bounce. It's coming back to test this high volume top. That was short covering. It's short covering again probably. Let's see how it behaves when it gets up to something important. That's at 16.15. You probably get a pullback before then, and then it'll try. As I was saying earlier, the commodities, silver was up and gave up some of it. Short covering, it looks like to me. I don't think that's new money causing that volume expansion. And if we look over at the golds, the gold stocks and gold itself, gold pushes up, kind of ends weak. And if we look at the GDX, and let's grab the GDX, here we go. Get the right symbol up. If we look at the GDX pushes up, and again, looks like short covering to me on the way up. Can it get up higher? Sure it can. Will it get up higher? Probably some sort of pullback first. So last night we were talking about the fact that we're probably going to see some sort of a retrace start to develop. It did begin today. I'm bringing up the Russell here because the Russell is the one I want to watch on the way back down. I want to see how the Russell behaves as it comes back into this area. In particular, as it comes into these 2 bars on the way back. The Russell, in my opinion, could trade as low as those bars. On this particular bar, you've got volume sitting at 1105, 1106. We closed tonight at 1133. So, 25 points on the downside. That's a good, 2% or so. I don't know if it'll get that deep, but if it does get that deep, it'll give you a good indication of what's next. And you want to watch the weak ones as the thing pull back. I suspect today was the first day of what will be a pullback, and if that's true, we'll be able to measure what kind of pullback we get and use that as our knowledge of where we go next. That's it for tonight. It's kind of a short wrap. I think I gave you the most important part of it, and until next time, take care. Have a great one. I'll see you then. Good night.